Tornadoes. They're powerful, beautiful, scary, erratic, and dangerous. The damage paths tornadoes leave behind can be devastating. Most follow similar directions and have somewhat straight paths. Others change directions, slow down or speed up, change size and shape, or grow in intensity all in a matter of seconds. There are some pretty well-known tornadoes out there, but most of the time tornadoes unfortunately become well-known for the damage and death count. In this video, we'll dive into some crazy and weird tornadoes, focusing not on the damage and death, but instead looking at the remarkably weird stories, paths, and whatever else. If you do go on to enjoy the video, consider dropping a like and subscribing. So let's first talk about some stronger tornadoes, and most notably the El Reno 2013 tornado. This tornado had very many unusual characteristics, unfortunately resulting in the deaths of 4 different storm chasers. For starters, the tornado touched down and became big fairly quickly, and it was moving southeast before it then banked east, and during this period it underwent rapid intensification, growth, and increased forward speed. These erratic changes were enough to catch many chasers off guard, overtaking many in its 2.6 mile wide width, before it then curved to the northeast and stalled over the same area for around 8 minutes before dissipating. The 2013 El Reno tornado is weird in many ways: size, acceleration, motion, and intensity, all of which were hidden by the tornado's rain wrap feature and overall high precipitation storm mode that it was in. And the next tornado would also be violent, and that tornado is the Smithville Mississippi EF5 that occurred during the infamous April 27, 2011 outbreak in the Deep South. This tornado would, as its name implies, impact Smithville, causing extreme damage reminiscent of the 1997 Gerald tornado. But the damage, at least in this discussion, is not the weird part. The weird involves the story of the red SUV in the Smithville water tower. As the EF5 tornado entered Smithville, it picked up a red SUV before launching it a half-mile into the top of the Smithville water tower, leaving a sizable dent that stands today. The tornado then carried the SUV an additional 400 meters before impacting the ground and eventually coming to rest on the opposite side of the city, where it was later found crushed into a tiny ball. Another interesting story of tornado damage came from a tornado that occurred in the state of Michigan in 1976. A tornado had struck and turned a house on its side. Otherwise, the house stayed completely intact. Many other tornadoes have created stories of glass cups being unscathed, or a slabbed house with a working jacuzzi, and all this happens because of how erratic tornado damage paths are, and potentially due to the multi-vortex feature many strong tornadoes exhibit. This next tornado would also loft a large object into the air, like really big, like a house. I'm talking about the 2007 Elie Manitoba F5 tornado. This tornado would start and spend its life taking on the appearance of a rope. After many weird changes in directions and a loop over a flour mill, it would snake its way to the southwest side of Elie, stalling and looping over several homes while intensifying from an F1 to F2, all the way to an F5, picking an entire house up and flinging it before snaking and looping away until it dissipated. Just looking at the damage path and seeing all the turns and loops, it is really wild and definitely unusual. Also, looking at how quickly the tornado intensified from an F2 all the way to an F5 is crazy. Looking at the footage of it, you can see this house just being picked up and absolutely obliterated and tossed. And the damage path is reminiscent and is similar to the next tornado, which is actually several tornadoes, that being the 1980 Grand Island Nebraska family of tornadoes. Looking at the paths, you can see that this isn't your average cyclical supercell, as 7 destructive tornadoes would affect the city of Grand Island, Nebraska on Tuesday, June 3, 1980. The parent supercell, when producing the tornadoes, was moving at 10 miles per hour. At one point, 2 tornadoes were on the ground, and 3 of the 7 tornadoes that eventually touched down would be anticyclonic. Past all that, the tornadoes have, I would say, the weirdest tornado damage paths in history. This event was so crazy, it inspired a book and a movie. I would have made a documentary on it, but there's an overall lack of info and pictures, but it is such a weird and intriguing event. And for this next century, the tornadoes were moving a lot faster. One of them was the fastest ever recorded, this being the June 16, 2014 Pilger, Nebraska tornado family, the main event being 4 EF4 tornadoes impacting places in and around Pilger. During this event, there were twin EF4s on the ground on 2 separate occasions. One tornado would destroy the town of Pilger at EF4 strength, and near the end of its life, while passing close to the developing Wakefield EF4, it would rapidly accelerate before roping out. This tornado was first thought to be a satellite, but on December 3rd, 2020, Hank Shima, a professional storm chaser, published a video in which he, along with professors from the University of Oklahoma, Appalachian State University, and the University of Wisconsin, state that one of the 2014 Pilger Twin EF4 tornadoes moved at 94.6 miles per hour, a calculation done by syncing video and using measurements. However, this video or the study is not recognized by NOAA, and the holder of the fastest tornado belongs to an EF2 near Galt, Iowa that was spotted from the December 15th, 2021 derecho. Most of these tornadoes have occurred in the alley, out in the plains. But the next tornado was certainly anywhere but, that being the 1987 Yellowstone tornado, which, as its name implies, struck Yellowstone National Park, located in Wyoming. This tornado would cause F4 tree damage, making it the only F4/EF4 tornado in Wyoming history. During its life, the tornado descended into Pacific Creek Valley before climbing up to a high plateau of nearly 3,000 meters in elevation, weakening significantly. It produced more tree damage on the steep slopes until it crossed the Continental Divide, damaging trees at an elevation of 10,070 feet. A somewhat common myth is that tornadoes don't like elevated terrain, and this tornado just about disproves it. And this final case is not a specific tornado or outbreak, rather an extremely weird coincidence. During the years of 1916, 17, and 18, on the 20th of May, a tornado would strike the northeast Kansas town of Codell. The first two twisters damaged property as they skirted the east and west edges of town, while the third killed 10 people and injured dozens in and around Codell. To have an F3, F2, and an F4 in 3 consecutive years is already something amazing, but to have it all in the same days is truly incredible. The town has since had some close calls, but has not had a tornado directly impact them. If you enjoyed today's video, then consider liking and subscribing. If you want to get sneak peeks and be more a part of deciding future video ideas and just talking overall about weather and whatnot, then I suggest that you join my Discord server. Link is in the description. Sorry for the shorter upload and slightly different video format. I'm trying to experiment with different ideas and formats. Anyways, thanks for watching, and have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever. Goodbye.